at Joint Base Andrews outside Washington. Tomorrow he will lie in state at the Capitol. We'll have coverage, of course, here on Fox News. Good evening. Welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. President Trump is set to take the stage any minute now at a rally in Evansville, Indiana. We'll take that live when it begins. A lot going on tonight. There was a lot going on all day, and it started early. The feud between the president and the news media who cover him reached a new peak, or maybe valley. It began with a tweet storm early from the West Wing, the barrage, 6:50 a.m. when it started. The first tweet read this way: "The hatred and extreme bias of me by CNN has clouded their thinking and made them unable to function. But actually, as I've always said, this has been going on a long time. Little Jeff Z has done a terrible job. His ratings suck, and AT&T should fire him to save credibility." Little Jeff is a reference to Jeff Zucker, who is 5'6" and runs CNN. 12 minutes later, the president continued this way, quote, "What's going on at CNN is happening to different degrees at other networks, with NBC News being the worst. The good news is that Andy Lackey is about to be fired for incompetence and much worse. When Lester Holt got caught fudging my tape on Russia, they were hurt badly." In a third tweet, the president wrote that he, quote, "cannot state strongly enough how totally dishonest much of the media is. Truth doesn't matter to them. They have only their hatred and agenda. This includes fake books, which come out on me all the time, always anonymous sources, and are pure fiction. Enemy of the people." In a subsequent tweet, the president noted that CNN, quote, "is working frantically to find their source. Look hard because it doesn't exist. Whatever was left of CNN's credibility is now gone." The reference to the source, of course, is to an apparently fraudulent CNN story that claimed the president was aware of the now famous Russia lawyer meeting at Trump Tower before it took place. Lanny Davis, the lawyer representing Michael Cohen, now concedes he was the source of the story, and he admits he has no evidence it's actually true. That's bad for CNN, obviously. CNN, for its part, has refused comment on its own dishonesty. Mark Stein is a best-selling author and a genius at sorting things out, and he joins us to do that. Mark, you saw the tweet storm? Your response?
Yeah. Well, I think it's always a good idea, Tucker, when the president gets the media talking about themselves. I saw Howard Kurtz earlier, and Howard's analysis makes sense in media terms, but I think out in the wider world, the reality is that the media are people loathe the media, even more than politicians, and they especially loathe the media when they're talking about themselves. So if you can get Carl Bernstein talking pompously and ponderously about how he has spent, whatever it is, 60 years, quote, bringing the truth to light, unquote, while he's summering at Sag Harbor, which I gather is like, Sag Harbor is some broken down old lobsterman's decrepit village somewhere way up the coast nobody's ever heard of. But anyway, Carl Bernstein's summering at Sag Harbor, announcing that he's bringing the truth to light. Every time you can get the media to stand on their own portentousness, then I think that's a win for the president.
But is it, though? Because there's nothing that the press likes to talk about more than itself. I mean, this is self-involvement on parade. I mean, this is like free therapy for most reporters who need it. So I mean, everybody wins, it seems like.
Well, yes, but I think actually, I think this is one thing where people do agree with him, that they feel the media do not actually give him a fair shake. So actually, for example, everyone's saying, oh, no, there was nothing wrong with that NBC thing. There was nothing wrong with it, except that it's one of those over-edited interviews in which the bits they take out are as revealing as anything they leave in. And the president has a point on that. And I think it's actually very reasonable to raise the way these things are edited and why they're edited in that way. As for the Lanny Davis thing, I understand Lanny Davis thrice denied he was the source for the CNN story. When I first heard the CNN story, I thought it was rubbish because Michael Cohen is now being forced to lie about everything he's been doing for the previous quarter century. So the government star witness is a liar whose deal is conditioned conditional on these new lies. So I thought Lanny Davis was just passing on his client's lies, but in fact he's lying about what the liar lied to him about that day. So it's actually, even by CNN media source standards, it's falling apart, that one.
It's meta lying. So, I mean, you're old enough, like me, to remember a time when political analysts said things like, what American voters really want is authenticity and transparency in their politics. Here we have a president who's literally tweeting in his bedroom early morning saying things like, CNN sucks.
Right,
now,
right.
that's the most authentic and transparent thing a president has ever done, and yet the media hate it.
Well, that's right, because well, this isn't the way a president behaves. What he's supposed to do is he's supposed to, his minders are supposed to focus group CNN sucks for 6 weeks, and then a spokesman will come out at a podium and read out a press release saying that CNN sucks. The fact that he wakes up and thinks that CNN sucks, and then he goes, CNN sucks. He's not doing it right, and they can't stand that. And you're right. This is actually, you can complain about a lot of things, but this is like actually being plugged into Trump's brain when he wakes up in the morning. And they can't. And after asking for unfiltered, authentic politicians who aren't in the bubble, this guy isn't in the bubble. He's out of the bubble, taking the tire iron to them, and they can't stand it.
It's hilarious. I have so many mixed feelings about all this. But I will say, I agree with you, I will never again sit and listen to some pompous guy on TV say, what voters really want is authenticity. Voters may want it, the media doesn't. Mark Stein, great to see you.
Oh,
as always.
Thanks, Tucker. You've spent years bringing the truth to light, too. We should all talk pompously like Carl Bernstein.
What a fraudulent character. Thank you, Mark.
Nice.
Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, is worth about $150 billion. That's enough to make him the richest man in the world by far, and possibly the richest human being in all of human history. It's certainly enough to pay his employees well, but he doesn't. A huge number of Amazon workers are so poorly paid, they qualify for federal welfare benefits. According to data from the nonprofit group New Food Economy, nearly 1 in 3 Amazon employees in Arizona, for example, was on food stamps last year. Jeff Bezos, who was offended by this arrangement, and we're sorry to say he's wrong on pretty much everything else. But this is a weird moment in American politics, so you take allies where you can find them. Bernie Sanders, of all people, is trying to get your money back from Jeff Bezos. This is especially amazing since Bezos is on Bernie's side on most things. They're both left-wing activists. But on this question, Bernie is right. He's planning legislation that would force big corporations to return the taxpayer-funded welfare benefits you have paid to their workers. It's not a perfect solution, and it's unlikely to pass. No matter what they may say in public, liberals in Congress would never support something like that. Their loyalty is not to you, it's to Uber and Jeff Bezos and the rest. But at the very least, legislation like this might awaken a sleepy population to the new reality of activist corporate America. And that's a good thing. America has changed enormously in the last 20 years. A lot of people you thought were your allies are in fact working against your interests. They have contempt for you and your family, your customs, and your faith. Included in this group, I'm sorry to say, there are a lot of big corporations. They have no use for you or the country you grew up in. Stand in their way, and they'll crush you. You're watching it all around us all the time. It's shocking, so shocking that I recently wrote a book about it. It's called Ship of Fools, and it explained what happened, who did it, and why. The book is out in a month, the first week of October, but you can pre-order a copy now, and I hope you will. So here's a math question for you. How much money does it take to get New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to pressure his attorney?
Evansville, you are very, very special people, and thank you, Indiana. Thank you. Thank you. We had great success in Indiana, as you know. That was an incredible experience, and we really honor you. Very, very special people. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I know you well. You love our country. You're proud of our history, and you always respect our great American flag. This is a really incredible time for your country. This is a truly amazing period of time. We have the best economy in the history of our country. Factories are reopening. Jobs are pouring back into the United States. We are putting your great Indiana coal miners and steel workers back to work. We're reclaiming our nation's proud manufacturing heritage and putting tariffs on foreign producers who cheat our workers and cheat our companies. Not fair. Not fair. As President McKinley once said a long time ago, we believe in American work for American workers, American wages for American laborers, and American homes for American citizens. Just this week, we made another truly historic announcement. We are replacing NAFTA with a beautiful brand new U.S.-Mexico trade deal. And as we speak, Canada, and we love Canada, right? But they have to get rid of those barriers and they have to get rid of those big tariffs. Canada showed up at the White House. Where the hell did she come from? And now tomorrow, that's one person. And now tomorrow you're going to read headlines. Trump had protesters all over the place. One person. One person. Major protest. But are they going to talk about the thousands and thousands of people inside of this arena and outside of the arena where we put screens? No. Because things are happening. Let me tell you just really quickly about something that did happen. So last week, you probably saw it, because it gets ratings, they put it on television, right? If it didn't get ratings, they wouldn't be putting it on. But last week, you saw it, I was in the great state of West Virginia. We were in a fantastic arena, beautiful, smaller than this, but a very great place. We had crowds that were incredible. And the enthusiasm, I hate to tell you, the enthusiasm that you have tonight in West Virginia, it was exactly the same. Can't get any more, right? And the failing New York Times, which, by the way, if I wasn't here, they would be out of business. The Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, so a writer for the New York Times that pretends she knows what she's talking about hasn't got a clue. Now, and I'm telling you, the enthusiasm was the same. The place was packed. She made the statement that President Trump was disappointed to see some empty chairs. Yeah, they were going to the bathroom, maybe. And listen, and he was so disappointed at the tone in the room. We left there saying, that was amazing. These are just dishonest, terrible people. I'm telling you that. Terrible people. Not all of them. Honestly, not all of them. I'd say 85%. So we made a great deal with Mexico. And as you know, Canada didn't want to do what we have to have done. And after the deal was made with Mexico, Canada came along and they're negotiating right now at the White House, at our territory. And it could happen. We'll see what happens. And if it doesn't happen, we'll put tariffs on the cars coming in from Canada, and that'll be even better. So, but I think it's going to happen. And we've really developed a very good relationship. Look, we love Canada, but they have to treat us fairly. They haven't treated us fairly, right? I'll give you an example with Canada. Dairy products. They put tariffs on our dairy products going into Canada, almost 300%. We can't have that. Can't have that. And a lot of other barriers where we can't sell. So we'll open it up, or we'll be, frankly, maybe even better. Either way, it's going to work beautifully, okay? That I promise you. Because I'll tell you what, this country is tired of being ripped off by other countries. Tired of it. And we're doing some great deals with other countries also. You've been reading about it. And they're getting done one by one. And if they don't get done, we come out almost better. So that's the way it is. But we're thrilled to be joined tonight by many of your state's great Republican leaders. And I have to say, a man who followed a very hard act, our great Vice President, Mike Pence. But a man who followed Mike, that's a hard act, because Mike did a great job as your governor, and he's doing a great job for us now in Washington. And you have a governor, Eric Holcomb, who is doing a fantastic job. Fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you. Great job. And Mrs. Holcomb, thank you very much. It's a great team. Great team. People that have really helped me in Washington. You know, we did a lot of things, including cutting your taxes, the biggest tax decrease ever. Congressman Larry Bouchon and Congressman Todd Rokita. Thank you. Thank you, Larry and Todd. Thank you. Also, a very special Indiana chair, Kyle Hupfer. Kyle, thank you. Great job. Kyle, how are we doing in Indiana, Kyle? They're going to beat Joe Donnelly. Going to beat Joe Donnelly. You're going to beat Joe Donnelly. You have to, because we need the votes. We need the votes. You're not going to get, Joe's not going to vote for us on anything. He's maybe going to vote for a great judge right now. But before we talk about that, I want to bring a person up to the stage who's really done an incredible job. He went through a primary with a couple of real pros. And I have to say, they have been so fantastic. You did so well. So well. We appreciate it, man. You know what I'm talking about. You know. Incredible. Incredible. But he went through, he did great. People loved him. He's been a very, very successful businessman, which is really what our country needs. I mean, a lot of this is business and it's common sense. And I just saw a poll just a little while ago, a real poll. You know, they have fake polls. They do suppression polls. You know what a fake poll is? It's called a suppression. They make you think you can't win, so you go to see a movie. Don't go to see a movie. Remember me? They said, I don't know, it's going to be impossible for Donald Trump to get 270. You cannot. It's impossible. It's impossible. Remember the lines from NBC, which is probably worse than CNN? But the word is they're firing the head of NBC. What a great thing to do. How smart. That's what the word. Who knows? With these people, you never know. But by the way, take a look. Todd, everybody, Governor, look how many cameras you have back there. Is this like the Academy Awards? Look at it. They can't get enough. But when I start screaming fake news, you see those red lights go off for a little while. You know, excuse me, we have technical difficulties. Okay, then they go back. Right? Look at that. You know, in the studio, you hear they go, listen, he's about ready to go. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we have technical difficulties. We'll be back in just about... Then it goes back. Okay, we're back. Here we go. Keep going. Oh, what they have to put up with. You know, it's not that easy for them either. It's tough to have a network where you're calling them fake news and they're supposed to be proud. That just shows when you get good ratings, you can say anything, right? That's what happens. Get good ratings. Finally, I just want to get Mike Braun up here because he has been special. He's a special man, and he is going to be a truly great senator. Mike, please.
Never a dull moment in this pursuit, is there? You know, I love what the president said, is when somebody says you can't do something, for some of us, it causes us to even work harder. When I watched this man clear the field back in 2016, when they said it can never be done, and there was not one person on that stage that could have beaten Hillary Clinton other than this man here. And the other thing you need to know is politicians too often say something and they never follow up on it. This man makes promises and keeps them. And he needs a true ally. Not somebody that says something when you're in Indiana and does something differently when you're in D.C. Joe Donnelly voted against tax reform. Yeah. As a congressman, he voted for Obamacare. And then when he could have had the deciding vote, he voted against repealing it. He voted for the Iranian deal, and thank goodness we undid that. It's a sad story. He promised to drain the swamp, and I want to be an ally. When I get there, you can count on it that I'm going there for the right reasons. I'm not going there for the pay or the perks or the pensions that they get like none of the rest of us do. I'm going there to make this man have an ally there that you can count on every time. So, get your friends, get your neighbors out. I'm going to need the help to take it across the finish line because Joe's gotta go. Joe's gotta go. Joe's gotta go. Joe's gotta go. Thank you all. See ya.
He'll be a great senator. A vote for Mike Braun is a vote to, did you ever hear this before? Make America great again. And you know our new slogan that we'll be switching to because we're way ahead of schedule is to make America great again, right? It's called Keep America Great! Exclamation point. Keep America great. That's what's happening. We're so far ahead of schedule. People come up to me all the time and they go, thank you, Mr. President. Just backstage, right now. People, thank you, Mr. President, for saving our country. Our country was in serious trouble. And when you hear them trying to take credit for what we, you, me, all of us together, what we've done, if we didn't come along, you would have had, instead of 4.2, you know, it was raised yesterday from 4.1. You would have been in negative numbers. The country was choking with regulations, choking with high taxes. You would have been in negative numbers, and that's what was happening. You would have seen some real mess. And what we've done all together, because this is one of the great revolutions, you can call it a revolution if you like, that's ever taken place in our country. And we want to keep it going. A vote for Mike's opponent, Sleepy Joe, is a vote for Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, And who else? Maxine Waters. You know, I gave Mike a little while ago something that I saw, but he's already seen it. The Indianapolis Star did a story, and I guess it's a poll of some kind. Joe Donnelly rated least effective Democrat in Senate in a new study. It says, who is the least effective Democrat in the United States Senate? Senator Joe Donnelly, according to the Center for Effective Lawmaking, who said the Democrat from Indiana was the worst. According to the center, Donnelly introduced two bills in the 114th Congress for 2015-2016 that received some kind of action in committee, the fewest among his 44 Democratic colleagues, and neither of them advanced to the floor for a vote. Now, this wasn't an anomaly, it says. The center just said this. This wasn't just a one-time, one-year, unusual thing or anomaly. It ranked Donnelly 55 out of 57. Oh, I see, he did much better. Among Democrats in the 113th Congress. So I have to tell you that if that's what you want, representing Indiana, you can have it. You can have it. You can assure it. I mean, hey. Joe Donnelly voted no on tax cuts. He voted no on Obamacare. We had Obamacare done if he would have raised his hand. Repeal and replace. He voted no on repeal and replace of Obamacare. But we did get rid of the individual mandate, and we brought it down, and it's going. It's leaving fast. It's leaving fast. Joe Donnelly voted against enhanced vetting for refugees. Let them come in. Open up those borders. Open them up. He says, open up those borders. Let them in. He voted against stopping illegal immigrants from getting welfare. And Donnelly repeated voting for amnesty. He wants amnesty. Donnelly also voted for liberal Obama judges who want to take away your Second Amendment and lots of other things. We need to elect senators who will vote for judges who follow our laws and our Constitution as written. Like Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, who's doing a great job, and Judge Brett Kavanaugh, who we're trying to get through right now. In this election, you aren't just voting for a candidate, you're voting for which party controls Congress. Very, very big vote. It's very close. People say we have the majority. By how much? Like, by almost nothing. Somebody has a cold, we no longer have the majority. We need Republicans in Congress. Today's Democrat Party is held hostage by left-wing haters, angry mobs, deep state radicals, establishment cronies, and their fake news allies. Our biggest obstacle and their greatest ally actually is the media. You can believe it. We've got stories that are so big and the media doesn't pick them up. We have stories that if that was about a Republican or a conservative, it'd be front page of every newspaper. And we have them and they just don't want to write them. It's a dishonest group of people. I will tell you that. You can have the biggest story about Hillary Clinton. I mean, look at what she's getting away with, but let's see if she gets away with it. Let's see. All I can say this, our Justice Department and our FBI at the top of each, because inside they have incredible people, but our Justice Department and our FBI have to start doing their job and doing it right and doing it now. Because people are angry. People are angry. What's happening is a disgrace. And at some point, I wanted to stay out, but at some point, if it doesn't straighten out properly, I want them to do their job. I will get involved, and I'll get in there if I have to. Disgraceful. And the whole world is watching, and the whole world gets it, and the whole world understands exactly what's going on. The Democrats, they call themselves the resistance. That's what they're good at. Resisting and obstructing. They are obstructionists. Every day they are resisting the will of the Americans become, right? The so-called resistance is mad because their ideas have been rejected by the American people. And we're getting rid of those bad ideas one by one so fast. And it is driving them crazy. They're the old and corrupt globalist ruling class that squandered trillions of dollars on foreign adventures. They don't want to build a wall here, although we've started, but it's not easy. But they'll build walls in other countries. They'll create borders in other lands so far away. But over here, let everybody pour in, and we don't worry about the crime. It's a disgrace. They've made the worst trade deals in the history of the world. And who enriched themselves while presiding over the destruction of American jobs, American companies, and American wealth? It was the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. What we did to our companies and to our jobs, we should be ashamed of our leadership, but not this leadership, because we're bringing them back. When we pledge to work over corruption in Washington, these are the people we're talking about. So in this election, we can't let up. We're going to, and it's happening fast, we're going to drain the swamp. We've replaced failed Democrat lawmakers with America First Republicans, and it's happening. We want people like Mike Braun. Republicans stand for stopping illegal immigration, fixing bad, horrible, obsolete trade deals, unleashing American energy, cutting taxes, supporting our militaries and our great vets, our great, great vets. Republicans stand for protecting Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and strengthening the safety net for truly needy Americans, not for illegal aliens and people that come into our country to take advantage of us. Democrats want to raise your taxes. We want to lower your taxes. By the way, that doesn't sound like a great campaign theme. We're going to raise your taxes. We're going to fire ICE. I don't think that works too well. They want to raise your taxes. We want to take away your regulations. They want to increase your regulations. They want to weaken our military. They don't want to give us, we're always fighting money. We want money for our military. They want money for things that you wouldn't believe. They want to shut down your coal mines. That's not happening. By the way, you're up like 60%. You're doing all right. I've had such an incredible experience with the miners, and just a little while ago backstage, there were 9. Of the 9, now these were tough guys. These are seriously tough cookies. In fact, I looked at them and I said, I wouldn't want to fight these guys. But of the 9, 8 of them were crying. And I looked at the 9th, crying out of happiness because they're back. I looked at the 9th guy, I said, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you crying? Oh, don't cry, sir. I said, that's okay. That's okay. 8 out of 9 were crying with happiness. And they want to raid Medicare to pay for socialism. Somehow I don't see Indiana being the next Venezuela. I just don't see it. Right? We don't see it. That's what would happen, too. At the center of this election is the issue of border security, so important. We've now started the wall in San Diego, and we're doing another 90. It's like pulling teeth to get the money from these Democrats. We got $1.6 billion. Then we just got another $1.6 billion. Now we're asking for a lot more. We can do that thing so quickly. But they really want, I mean, honestly, they want, even though in 2006, almost all of them voted in favor of essentially a wall. Okay? Now they think it's politically expedient to anything Trump wants, please go against. Please. Because they are not liking my poll numbers even a little bit. And within the Republican Party, I have to say this because this is very cool. Within the Republican Party, the highest poll numbers, I think it's, well, they have 90, they have 92, and they have 93%. The highest poll numbers ever. Ever. Is that crazy? I actually asked them. I said, did they do polling when Honest Abe Lincoln was around? You know what? Nobody's been able to give me that answer, but I'm assuming they did, okay? So we can say we're beating Honest Abe. Democrats want to open borders, which really equals allowing into our country massive amounts of crime. Republicans want strong borders. We want no crime. We want great law enforcement. And by the way, we love our law enforcement. If you want to summarize the difference between Democrats and Republicans, just remember this. Democrats want to abolish ICE. Where did this come from? By the way, do you have any idea what ICE does? I don't think anybody in this room, unless they're really tough, and I know a couple of people right here probably tough enough. I don't think so, though, actually. I know them too well. Actually, I know their weaknesses, so I think they're not. But these are people that go into a nest of MS-13. They call it a nest. That's what it is. It's a nest. These are evil people in there. This is a group of gang members. I can't say animals anymore because Nancy Pelosi got very angry when I called them angry. I called them animals. She went crazy. I can't do it. I can't call them animals, even though they have guns, but they don't like using guns because it's not painful enough. They want to slice people up. Young girls walking home from school, 16 years old, and they sliced them up. They died. They died. Their parents are incredible people. I met their parents, devastated. And the reason was because it was more painful. And then I call them animals, and Nancy Pelosi gets upset because I'm talking about human beings. They don't get it. They don't get it. So we want to abolish MS-13. They want to abolish ICE. And I have to tell you about MS-13. You know, we have towns in Long Island. I grew up in that area, General. I know every one of those towns. They were always great. They were safe. You'd leave your door open at night. You never locked your door. You leave your windows open, no problem. Now they're infested with MS-13, but we're getting them the hell out so fast. Don't worry about it. They're getting, they're going. We're doing a great job. We're doing a great job.
Welcome to Hannity. I'm Janine Pirro, in tonight for Sean. We now take you back to the president's rally in Evansville, Indiana. Let's listen in.
Great deals world. And our immigration, horrible laws in the world, but we're getting them out. But you know what? ICE, we call ICE, and they go into those towns, and they grab those guys by the neck, and they throw them into those paddy wagons. They couldn't care less. And you don't want to do it, and you don't want to do it. But we have some really bad people that were allowed into this country under President Obama and others, and we're getting them the hell out. And you know, these towns that I know so well, we get ICE out, and the people are standing at their windows cheering. They're like clapping for ICE. They're clapping because these are brave people. They're good people too, good heart. But they're tough. They're tough. They're strong and they're tough. And ICE is afraid of them. You know why? Because they're much tougher than ICE. And that's what happens to work. I hate to say it. So they get out. And you know the sad thing? It's sad, actually. It's like the towns are being liberated, like it's a war. And you're getting, finally, the enemy out of our country. The towns are being liberated from this scum. Amazing. Amazing. So the Democrats want to abolish ICE and the Republicans want to cherish ICE. And I can tell you that. And I think everybody in this room respects and really admires Border Patrol, ICE, all of our law enforcement, everybody. Not an easy job. Not an easy job. A vote for Democrats in November is a vote to erase our borders and leave innocent Americans at the mercy of hardened criminals. That's what will happen. We need strong law and order. A vote for Republicans is a vote to support the brave heroes of ICE, Border Patrol, law enforcement, and all of the other groups that work with us. Every day, ICE, which is being so badly treated. That's why I'll sometimes go more and more in favor of talking about ICE. Because what the Democrats are doing to the morale of these brave people is incredible. It's incredible. And you know what? If they didn't have them, they'd be calling up begging, saying, where is that? We need ICE. We need somebody to help. This election is about safety, and this election is about jobs. And the beauty of the jobs, people that were stuck in one job didn't like it. They've now got 6 different alternatives. They go here, they get one that they like, and they're making more money. Wages are going up. Nobody thought this was going to happen. Excuse me, you ready? 3.8%. Isn't that nice? Nobody thought that was going to happen. Thanks to Republican leadership, our economy is booming like never before. It's never been like this. Economic growth last quarter hit a number that nobody thought possible. This number was 1, less than 1, and going down to negative territory. We've created nearly 4 million new jobs since the election and lifted almost 4 million Americans off food stamps. We've added almost 500,000 new manufacturing jobs since election. 500,000. And if I would have come here, and I did come to Indiana a lot, and you know who I brought with me? Who did I bring? The great Bobby Knight. What a coach. You know that story with Bobby, right? A year before I was going to run, Bobby Knight called. And they say, "Sir, do you know a Bobby Knight?" I said, "You mean the coach?" This is before I ran. And I said, "You're talking about the coach?" My secretary, great person, said, "Yes, sir. I think he said he was a coach." I pick up. I said, "Hello?" He goes, "Trump, this is Bobby Knight, and you got to run for president. Our country needs you." And I said, "That's Bobby Knight. That's Bobby Knight." Right? That's Bobby Knight. After the first word, I knew it was Bobby Knight. And he said, "You got to run." I said, "Well, you know, Bobby, first of all, I respect you a lot, and I really love winners, and you are a winner. And the job you did, great guy." He's also a great guy, big heart. He doesn't want people to know that, but he's actually got a very big heart. He'd be devastated if I said that he has a big, but he does. He has a big heart. But I said, "You know, Bobby, I haven't decided to run. But if I do, could you give me a number? I'll take it and I'll call you." So an amazing thing happened. So I write down his number. It was a cell. I wrote it down, and I have a stack of papers on my desk in New York. I haven't been to that office because I don't care about any of that stuff anymore. I only care about doing what's good for us. I couldn't care less. It's true. They won't tell you that.